Our channel, everybody, live at Chateau de la Couture.
We're the Broadhead family. I'm Leanne, my husband Julian, and our 3 children, Holly, Poppy and Lily. Oh, and of course, Shadow the dog. 18 months ago, we decided to do something crazy, so we packed up our lives in the UK and began the search for a small farm to buy in France. However, not everything went according to plan, and fate intervened. Our lives were then turned upside down after we ended up buying a rundown chateau in the south of France. So far on our channel, we've shared with you our renovation journey, our upcycling projects, our family life, and our goals to become food self-sufficient, not forgetting our personal story.
We want to share with you our hopes, our dreams, and our goals. So let's get started. And what better place to start than the beginning?
So I'm currently just working on this fireplace at the moment before I plaster this elevation here. This is a really weird room. It's got so many, not as weird as the master suite, I would say, but with the amount of little angles and things that are in this room. I would love for it to be 4 straight walls, but unfortunately it's not. And there's a lot of prep work that goes in before you can even start plastering. Now this fireplace, we showed you this on the last video, and I've had some suggestions that we could paint it as a marble style and make the facade into a marble fireplace. We could actually try and find a marble fireplace. But I don't want that extra cost at the moment. But I actually have changed my mind about actually even wanting a marble fireplace here because of the colour scheme and what we're actually going to do. And this fireplace, we're just going to actually change the facade slightly and make it more decorative. So at the moment, the first thing is I actually need to get the room finished plastering. So what I'm doing is these ugly blocks of wood were here. Just literally no shape, no decorative feature or anything. It was just a block of wood just holding the top of the mantle on. So we've taken those off. And the next, what I'm doing at the moment is just taking the lips of plaster with a chisel that have just been left behind. So I'm getting on with that. And then I'll be able to plaster this elevation, hopefully. Problem is though, I'm on to my last bag of plaster. And there is a plaster shortage in our area of France at the moment. The stores don't have them, and our local bricolage, which we Quincaillerie that we use as well, we get all our plaster normally from them. They haven't had any for 3 weeks. They said they've got some on order, but they've no idea when it's going to come. So it's a real pain now because I am going to run out of plaster today. No idea when that's going to come. And the whole reason that we stopped doing the other 2 bathrooms and dropped on to doing the ceiling in this room was so that I could carry on and have something meaningful and something that would push the project on as fast as possible and tick off a big step, which was plastering this room. And then another 2 rooms after it upstairs as well. But I don't know if that's going to happen at the moment. So that's causing me stress because we have a whole different plan this summer of what's going to go on, and which I've talked about in a little bit more detail for patrons. And it just puts the whole project again into doubt of when it's actually going to be finished. You just go around in circles. It's madness, sheer madness. So I'll crack on and we'll see how far we get. The day after this filmed, we managed to do a 2-hour round trip to over the border in Gers, and we found a little jeudi mat, a local quincaillerie, that meant that we could pick up 9 bags of plaster, and boy did we need it.
Look out, here she comes, the woman that I love. It's too bad she'll never know. Yeah, I can't tell her how I feel, because she has someone who makes her happy. I'm a ghost in these walls, or at least I try to be. 'cause I hope that I'm not showing how I feel for her, but she won't feel the same for me. I've got this picture in my mind. It's just the two of us, just the two of us. But I know I have to try to let her go, because she won't be mine. I listen when she talks, I watch her when she walks. She's giving me these feelings that I've never felt before, but she will never know that I love her so well. She's with somebody else and I will have to let her go. She will never know, na-na, never know, na-na. She will never know, na-na, never know, na-na. She'll never know. It's like she stole my heart without knowing she did. But I guess that it will pass. Yeah, I can't be the only one who got lost inside the blue of those eyes. I've gotta let her go. I know it won't be easy. I wanna hold her close, but I have to try as hard as I can, 'cause she'll never be mine. I listen when she talks, I watch her when she walks. She's giving me these feelings that I've never felt before, but she will never know that I love her so well. She's with somebody else and I will have to let her go. She will never know, na-na, never know, na-na.
So here we are. So here we are, this front elevation, not the insides of the door architraves. This is where the first two coats have gone on. And then now the job is to float it up, which basically means, for me, using a sponge float, just wetting the plaster slightly if it needs it, and then using this flexible float to, you see it's slightly flexed on both sides, and it just allows you to start polishing the plaster. If you want to afterwards, you can actually then use a plastic float to do that, which would give an even smoother finish, but I don't find for me that it's necessary. As we explained before, this will be Holly's room, and you can see it is a huge room. The walls are massive, the ceiling to height ratio is massive, and undergoing this project to plaster was a massive undertaking for me. But I managed to pull it off, and bit by bit I've plastered every single facade, each of the walls now. The elevations look great and I'm really happy with the result. So I'm recording this and close to tears, honestly, because I am fed up. As you can see, I said the ceiling wasn't great, and basically I've sanded it down, and because there's a couple of ridges and things in certain parts of the board, the finish, and we made the mistake of doing 4 corners joining together. The finish isn't great, and as I said, we've learned, and the next ceiling that Julian's doing at the moment, he's staggering the joints. But I did say, even with that ceiling that he's doing at the moment, that we wouldn't be taping and mudding, I'd actually be plastering the ceiling. And I thought I'd start painting and just see how it went over it. But as you can see, it's just really, really rubbish. There's no other way to put it. So I'm going to plaster the ceiling. So I'm going to wait for it to dry. And then the next couple of days, that's what I'm going to be doing. I've only done one ceiling so far. That's our bathroom ceiling. It looks great. This looks, I was going to swear, but this looks pants. Not good at all. And we're not going up to all this effort and just to have a ceiling that still looks substandard. So my skill set didn't set ourselves up well in terms of the plasterboards having 4 corners meeting, etc. anyway, but from my perspective, I know where my skill sets lies, even when we do have the plasterboard orientated in the right way. And it's not mudding and taping. Plastering, I'm far better at that. It allows you to go over certain ridges and build that area up and then end up with a flat ceiling. So that's what I'm going for. Not happy, as I said, close to tears. All this work done pretty much for nothing, but I don't feel that we have a choice if we want to go for the finish that we're after. And this is not the finish that we're looking for. So wish me luck. So here we go. Time to plaster this ceiling. Wish me luck. This is going to be epic. Epic.
At this point, I'm about 3 hours into doing the first coat on the ceiling, and my arm is starting to tire. Unlike plastering walls, which I'm finding quite easy now, plastering ceiling is a whole different kettle of fish. Not to mention trying to plaster it on a ladder, it just takes 3 times as long as it should do as you try and reposition the ladder, and then you'll put a couple of trowels on the ceiling and then you'll have to come back down, reposition the ladder. It's an absolute nightmare. Not to mention that the plaster at this point, it's only 2 hours and it was really getting hard, and I was having to re-water it just to try and mix it through. So I'm working the plaster more than I should be, but I really didn't want to waste the plaster with the plaster shortage. So it was a hard task.
So there we have it. First coat is on. It's taken me hours. Hours and hours and hours. It's not as flat as I usually like the plastering. But having said that, the last ceiling I did was similar to this. So I'm hoping it's going to come true. However, I actually think even in its unflattened state, it looks so much better than my taping and mudding attempt. So we'll see how this goes from now. Second section drying. So I think that you'll agree that this will end up looking a lot better than my taping effort.
Meanwhile, work does still continue in the kitchen garden and in the growing field opposite the kitchen garden. So today's task, or the task since we saw you last, was planting potatoes, and the twins loved it.
Hey girls.
Finished, Mum. We're going to plant potatoes in a house for Mummy, and we got sacks. I have 2 left, but I have 3 left.
Okay, we've got loads more potatoes, so don't worry, and I've got loads more holes for you as well. So explain what you're doing. You're just getting the seed potatoes, these are called. So the little potatoes that are especially for planting.
And now I'm finished.
Okay, I'll get you another pack. And what happens when you plant one? What happens after it's grown?
It
potatoes do you think we should get?
11.
Yeah, maybe 10, maybe 11, maybe 8, maybe 15, something like that from each potato. Maybe even 4 or 5. We don't know yet, do we?
Yeah, not 4, 5. That's not.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get quite a few. Right, I'll get you another bag of potatoes then.
Please like and subscribe if you got any value from this video, and why not consider joining our Facebook group, Life at Chateau de la Couture. This is where we post almost daily updates of what we're really up to behind the scenes and share a lot more of how we're feeling as well. And for the real behind the scenes, then you need to be part of our Patreon group, and we'd love to see you there.